Hi, I'm Laura Camerona, a child life specialist and children's author. And today I'm going to talk about some of the books that I'm adding to my hospital book list. This week I'm adding some books about the dentist. And I think that dental work can be super intimidating for kids. It requires them to have someone in their mouth. There's a lot of tools and things that they're not expecting. There's different aspects of dental care, including braces and tooth extractions and cavity fillings, along with just a normal dental cleaning. And so I'm going to share some resources that highlight some different parts of that care. The first one I'm recommending is Daniel Goes to the Dentist. As we all know, Daniel Taggart does a nice job of sharing what kids can expect and encouraging kids to ask questions so they know what's coming. And this book follows right along with that. There are lots of Daniel's little songs that are common in his show and in his books. So if you're a parent who hasn't watched it, it might be hard to sing along, but you could also partner it, maybe read it after watching the show with your young child. The next book I would recommend is called The Night Before the Dentist. It talks about a boy who's been to the dentist before, and he's anticipating the night before. He brushes his teeth, he dreams about toothbrushes, and then it takes you through his dental visit where it takes you through the many steps so that kids can understand what they might see. From what I could see, everything looked pretty up to date and pretty accurate as far as preparing kids for basic cleaning. Another book that I thought was good was Berenstain Bears Visit the Dentist. It once again talks about Brother Bear going to the dentist. It talks about the different things, experiences. Sister Bear is along to learn, but does have a loose tooth. And at the end, the dentist agrees to pull her loose tooth. So, mostly good book. Could be a little confusing if kids are nervous and they're going and they have a loose tooth. That might need some clarification. It also talks about the tooth fairy. And so if that's not something that your family does, then that might not be the right resource for you. The next book I'm recommending is called Sugar Bug Doug. This book does a nice job of explaining sugar bugs, plaque, buildup on your teeth, in a way that encourages kids like, oh, yeah, that's kind of gross, and this is what I can do to fix it. This is what I can do to take care of my body. So I thought that this book did a nice job of helping kids understand why brushing is important. Getting Ready for the Dentist by Dr. Faye Zings Ward was another book that I'm adding to the list. This book goes a little bit further. While I liked a lot of those first books, they were real simple, real good for just basic cleaning. This book does get into getting your cavity filled and having Novocaine. So it does say, I think, that it feels like a teeny tiny pinch, which I appreciate its honesty. But also keep that in mind if you have a child that gets it doesn't say pinch, I'm sorry, it says poke. So if poke is a triggering word for your child, that might be something you want to keep in mind. It also talks about dental x-rays a little bit, which was something I had a hard time finding books that covered and are especially stressful for my children. So I thought that was interesting. It didn't talk a ton about it, but it did talk about, it did show a picture and mention it. So you could go a little further and talk about the lead and how dental x-rays work. That book does have a lot of encouragement for kids to write their questions down, and then ways to interact, like, oh, what color toothbrush did you get? Different things like that, which could be good for some children and maybe not the perfect fit for others. The next book is Teeth, You Only Get 2 Sets. This book is different. It's a little bit more of a scientific book to learn all about teeth, how many you have, the layers, how they get loose. So if you have kids that are asking a lot of questions, maybe ones that you don't have the answer to, this could be a nice book. It does get into dentistry the last couple of pages. It doesn't necessarily prepare kids in the way of like you do this and then this and then this, but it does mention multiple pieces of dental care. Probably a better book for like middle to older school age, I would say. And then The last book that I have is called Braces for Corey. I was looking for a book about braces because more and more I'm seeing my kids' friends have braces at 9, 10 years old. So I think there's a good place for a children's book about braces. And this book is simple, but it does a nice job of talking about the different feelings she has, how she feels nervous, how she's worried about how she's going to look, and then what the process is like, gluing the braces on, and then people's reactions after. So I thought it would do a nice job of bringing up some conversations. There is lots of room for more books on this list. While I found a ton about real simple dental cleaning, I didn't find really anything about dental surgeries. There's a mention of laughing gas in the Getting Ready for the Dentist book, which I think is, again, fairly common, that kids might experience at some point, either for a cavity filling or for a tooth extraction. So I would love to find more books about that. And I didn't find anything about dental surgery. You could use books that I've posted previously about regular surgery to talk about anesthesia, but I didn't find anything specific about dental surgeries. So anyway, I hope that you find this list helpful. Feel free to comment or always let me know if you have more books you'd like to suggest or topics that you'd like me to cover. Thanks.